At this point, I'd like to kick off the conference by welcoming Denise Yohn, who's going to tell us how to win customers' hearts and dollars. Denise?
Good afternoon. It's great to be with you. Before I start talking, I thought I'd actually give you a chance to chime in a little. So I am interested in hearing what are some of your favorite brands. So think about a brand that you either use a lot, come across regularly, maybe go out of your way to use, maybe a brand that really speaks to you. Why don't you just shout out, we don't need mics or anything, just shout out the name of the brand and why it's your favorite. Okay, anyone want to go? Well, okay, I should say, no fear in naming your own company brand, okay? But we'll go ahead and let this gentleman have a pass. Quality Inn, why is it your favorite brand, other than that you probably work for the company?
It drives rate, it drives occupancy, and people seem to
Okay, all right, great. Drives rate, drives occupancy, people seem to love it. A brand that you personally use, or like, or we can see your favorite. Amazon, and why is Amazon one of your favorite brands? They fill up your garage with boxes. So I know I keep Amazon in business, just me alone personally, right? How about one more person? Another favorite brand? I'm sorry, Tesla. Okay, why Tesla? They are the future. Okay, say more. What do you mean by that? Okay, they make great products that no one else seems to be able to replicate. Okay, so notice how when people talk about their favorite brands, or when you're thinking about your own favorite brand, you're thinking about what the brand does for you. Like what it produces, the value that it creates, how it makes you feel. In other words, the customer experience it provides. And hold on to that thought, because I'll come back to it in just a moment. But I first want to acknowledge that we are all here because you want to drive business results, right? Okay, whatever those results might be for you, whether it's increased RevPAR, higher margins, maybe lower costs, you all are here because you want to drive business results. And I think if it's safe for me to say that, then I want to specifically talk about how you generate the kind of customer loyalty that drives those business results. How you get people to choose you time and again. And of course, we all want loyal customers because loyal customers are less expensive than new customers. In fact, the recent data shows that it can be 5 times as efficient to hang on to an existing customer than it is to acquire a new one. Loyal customers are less price sensitive in the sense that once you develop a relationship with the customer and they begin to trust you, they make a decision to do business based on the quality of that relationship, not so much about the price that costs. And loyal customers do your marketing for you, and they do it for free. So yes, we want to have loyal customers, but there are a lot of challenges to getting that loyalty. Challenges from customers themselves. You know, customers' expectations have been elevated by the best companies in the world that are training them to get what they want, where they want it, how they want it, when they want it. Today's customers are more discerning and demanding, more informed and more impatient, more elusive and more empowered than ever before. You also have challenges to getting loyalty from your competition. If you run a hotel business, you know that you face competition from all different kinds and growing numbers of competitors, whether it's new business models like Airbnb, whether it's existing players that are either consolidating or spinning off new concepts and new brands. Maybe it's third-party sites or aggregators that are biting into your brand presence and your profits. And everyone is fighting for their share of the same sized wallet. And at the same time, the traditional means by which you used to generate loyalty, you know, whether it's pricing strategies or clever promotions or even so-called loyalty programs, are becoming less effective at generating loyalty. And I can say this, you know, that you can't count on traditional marketing anymore because I'm kind of a recovered marketer. You see, back in the late 1990s, I headed up brand and strategy for Sony Electronics. And it was Sony's heyday. You know, everyone bought Sony products, paid a hefty premium for them because they thought they were the best quality. You probably bought Sony products back then, right? We were the market leaders. But frankly, I think we took our leadership for granted, and a combination of arrogance and laziness led us to be completely vulnerable when Apple introduced the iPod and the iTunes. And Apple was able to knock Sony off its leadership position and continues to dominate today because it understands the power of experience. At Sony, we might have had the best product, but that didn't matter. It wasn't about what we did, it's what people felt. It's not what we had to offer, it's what they experienced. And I have learned the power of experience time and again through my 25+ year career, working with exceptional organizations like these and speaking with business leaders around the world in audiences like this. It's pretty clear that business results are achieved through experience. And when I say experience, I mean the sum of all interactions that a customer has with your company. Whether you are a hotel brand that's providing a visit for a guest, whether you're taking a client on a tour of a construction site, whether you're executing a complex financial transaction, it all comes down to the experience you provide. And it starts from the moment that someone becomes aware that you even exist, and then customer experience builds up, accumulates over every interaction, every transaction, every stage, every step. Everything that a customer sees, touches, hears, reads, tastes, smells, feels. That's customer experience. And this means that customer service is not customer experience. Service is a very important part of customer experience, but it's only one part. And given all the other touch points that make an impact on your customers, whether it's the physical environment, whether it's the actual product or deal that you're offering, all the digital touch points, there's so many other ways that people develop perceptions about you and the way that you develop your reputation. If you operate with an incomplete and incorrect definition of customer experience, you will end up with incompetent delivery of customer experience. And you just can't afford to do that because customer experience drives margins. 86% of customers say they will pay more for something if they've got a good experience, and 45% will pay 15% or more. So that's a lot of margin that you can generate. Customer experience also drives revenue. When Forrester compared those companies that qualified as customer experience leaders versus those that they considered laggards, the leaders experienced 17% compound average revenue growth in 3 years, whereas the laggards were only 3%. And on the flip side, offering a bad experience can turn people off. 2/3 of people say the reason why they don't do business with a company anymore is because of a bad experience. So customer experience impacts brand perceptions and your market share. So if customer experience is so important, then we have to ask ourselves, why don't more companies offer a good customer experience? And when I talk to business leaders like yourself, I usually hear the barriers to customer experience being one or more of the following things. Some people will talk about the silos within their organization. You know, when your product and your sales and your marketing and your service and your operations folks all operate very independently, that detracts from your ability to offer a seamless customer experience, which is what your customers expect. And while I know dealing with organizational silos can be difficult, I found that if you put the right metrics and then rewards in place, people usually figure out how to overcome those silos. Another common barrier that I hear to customer experience a lot about is the concern of spending money on customer experience. And customer experience usually does involve some sort of investment in technology or research or training or all of the above. But I think that those statistics I just showed show that any investment you make in customer experience does pay off, and conversely, not investing in customer experience is even more costly. The last barrier to excelling at customer experience that I observe comes from an old mindset. It comes from depending on a product or service too much. You know, I find that some business leaders, maybe you yourself, are kind of still skeptical about customer experience. You think, well, if we have just a great product or a great service, isn't that enough? Well, let's think about this for a second. If there's a restaurant in town that offers really great food, but they're in a terrible location, their service is horrendous, and their environment is dismal, how likely is that restaurant to stay in business for very long? There just are so many other good enough or just as good products out there that customers aren't willing to suffer through a bad customer experience anymore. So you need to let go of that myth of depending on your product or service and embrace customer experience. Because customer experience really is where the battle for your customers' love and loyalty is fought today. 94% of people say that a consistently good customer experience is the reason they remain loyal to a company. So let's talk about how you fight this battle, okay? How you generate and deliver these extraordinary experiences like the ones that you thought of when you thought about your favorite brands. The changes that you need to make to deliver extraordinary experiences fall into generally two categories: the experiences themselves, and then the way that your organizations operate. So I'm just going to go quickly through both of those. And first, talk about how your experiences need to become more personal, more emotional, and more on brand. Okay, today's customers expect to be able to discover, research, shop, buy, return, share 24/7, 365, digital, in-store, and they expect to get what they want exactly in front of them. So your experience needs to become more relevant and convenient so they feel this personal connection to you and they feel that your customer experience is right for them. Let me share an example from Sephora, the beauty retailer. Okay, Sephora has done a lot of research to find out what are some of the problems that customers have with shopping at Sephora. One of them is that people want to know whether the makeup matches their skin tone, okay? And so they've actually developed a program partnering with Pantone to develop Color IQ. It's a service where you can get your skin scanned in the store, then you get a personal reference number that you can use whenever you're shopping online or in store to make sure that the makeup matches your skin. Another problem that customers have is they want to know what the makeup looks like before they buy it and put it on their faces. So in the Sephora app, there's a virtual artist feature. It's a virtual reality feature that allows people to see what the makeup looks like on their faces. These are just a couple of examples of the way that Sephora has made it easy, convenient to get exactly the right product for the right customer. So do you know your customers well enough to know what problems they have in dealing with you? And then are you developing solutions that enable you to make that personal connection, to make doing business with you more convenient, more relevant? Experiences also need to become more emotional because we humans are emotional beings. We make product and brand decisions based on how they make us feel. And so you need to be connecting with your customers more emotionally, which means you need to be more empathetic. You need to really truly understand what your customers want and need, not just what they say or what they seem to want. Your experiences need to be more anticipatory. Anticipate what someone's going to want before they even know it or can tell you. That shows that you get them. And your experience needs to be more purposeful, grounded in a meaningful, overarching purpose and core values so that you resonate at that kind of gut level with your customers. Consider how TD Bank has made an emotional connection with their customers. Whether it's doing something as easy as opening for longer hours, they're open earlier, later on the weekend, so it's kind of more convenient and kind of suits their customers' lifestyles. They have these ATM machines, automated thanking machines that dole out surprises and gifts for special customers. And they even have improved the stabilization feature on their mobile app, because I think we all know how frustrating it is when you're trying to deposit that check and you can't get the image to be quite right. So whether it's reducing frustration or surprising and delighting, or just communicating that you get what your customers' lives are like, you can make an emotional connection with your customers. The last way that your experiences need to evolve is to become more on brand, meaning they need to embody the specific attributes and values of your brand. The reason is because, according to Forrester, 90% of business leaders like yourself say that improving customer experience is a top priority. So everyone is working on customer experience. So improving customer experience is not enough. You need to make your experience unique. You need to make it memorable. You need to make it so that your brand comes through and it makes that kind of telegraphic connection with your customer. Consider 3 different airlines and how these 3 different airlines have 3 different brand identities and therefore customer experiences. Delta, right, is all about the Delta professional. They're very attentive service and business-like in the experience they provide. Southwest is more about fun and freedom and a very basic customer experience. And then you've got JetBlue that is about cool and stylish, and so they offer kind of a more progressive customer experience. 3 different brands, 3 different customer experiences, and it makes it pretty clear which airline you should pick depending on what kind of experience you're looking for. How would you like to have that same kind of magnetic appeal to attract the customers who are perfect for you, who say, this brand is perfect for me? Well, you can if you design your experience to bring that your uniqueness to life. When you do that, not only will your experience stand out, but it'll be more authentic because you will be telling people what you are and then actually delivering on that. And that authenticity is something that your competitors can't rip off or undercut. So you want to make your experiences more personal, more relevant and convenient, more emotional, more empathetic, more anticipatory, more on brand, more empathetic, more purposeful, and more anticipatory. And then you want to make your experiences more on brand. The way that you do this, let me just kind of top line the actions you can take in order to do this, is number 1, to integrate all of the data and insights you have. Instead of different data sitting in different databases used by different people in your organization to make different decisions, you want to integrate all of your data insights so that you get a seamless, holistic, hopefully real-time view of the entire customer journey. And you can identify where those gaps are, where those problems are, and then develop solutions that actually fill those needs. You also want to deliberately ignite customer experience innovation. I bet most of you have some sort of new product development process or maybe some sort of operational excellence process to make improvements in those areas. But if you want to make your experiences more personal, more emotional, more on brand, you need to deliberately innovate in customer experience as well. So consider opening up a customer experience lab, or maybe creating specific processes that help you uncover customer needs and then fill them through different ways that you can in the customer experience. If you want to learn more about how to develop and deliver extraordinary experiences, you can check out my ebook, Extraordinary Experiences: How Great Restaurant and Retail Brands, what great retail and restaurant brands do. It's not just for retail and restaurant brands, though. I think that every kind of company can get a lot out of the principles that I explain in the book. You can get the first chapter for free if you go to this URL. And don't worry if you don't get this URL now, because I'll show it again when I have something else to share with you. But let me go on to the second type of change that I talked about. Because yes, your experiences need to change, But in order for that to happen, your organization needs to transform as well. And so the changes you need to make within your organization are to make your organization more customer-centric and to align your employee experience with your customer experience. So let me break this down for you. Centering on the customer means getting rid of those old priorities and putting the customer literally at the center of your organization, using your customer as a filter for all of your decisions. Now, if you're like most business leaders that I talk to, you probably know that customer centricity is important, but if you're like most business leaders, you probably struggle with it. In fact, according to the CMO Council, only 14% of marketers would say that customer centricity is a hallmark of their company. Only 14%. And they say that only 11% of their customers would agree. So there are probably lots of reasons, or maybe I should say excuses, for why you're not more customer-centric. But I think probably the most important one is not having a customer-centric culture in your organization. Customer centricity can't be something that just your marketing or maybe your salespeople embrace. Everyone in your organization needs to center on the customer. And I wrote an article about this to show how you can cultivate a more customer-centric culture. Again, I don't have time to go through all of the ways you can do that, but you can download the article for free at this URL. Let me just talk about one of the ways that you can build a customer-centric culture, and that is to democratize access to your customers. Instead of hoarding customer data and insights within your sales group or maybe within marketing, you want everyone in your organization to be able to have access to and be able to work with the understanding of your customers. Adobe, the software and technology systems company, they actually created listening stations in their offices and then also online for remote employees, where employees will go, they are expected to go and listen to customer support calls as a way to really get to know their customers and know what their customers want and need. Now, many of you who actually run hotels have the advantage of having most of your frontline staff interacting directly with your customers, which is great. But are you deliberately cultivating those insights? Are you collecting them and synthesizing the insights and then distributing them throughout your organization and taking action based on what your employees observe? And it's not just your frontline employees. Every employee expects customer experience in some way. So you want to make sure that you give the opportunity for every employee to directly interact with your customer or at least observe them in person. Because there's nothing like a personal, firsthand experience to help someone understand what's important to your customers and why. The other way that your organization needs to transform is to align your employee experience with your customer experience. You want to make sure that your employees get the same kind of experiences that your customers do. So you want to take a look at all of the steps and stages and interactions and transactions in the journey the way that you would for customers, right? You're looking at the customer journey, and you want to do the same thing for your employees and make sure that the two sync up. And I'm not just talking about, being nice to your employees so they'll be nice to your customers. Believe me, that's the baseline. It's doing things like if you want your customer experience to be more technology-enabled and seamless and paperless, but if everything you do with your employees is slow and bureaucratic and on paper, your employees aren't going to believe you that that kind of experience is important. They're not going to develop the savviness and the comfort with technology that they need to. They're not going to value that. So you want to make sure that you align your employee experience with your customer experience. Because if you think about it, employees can and will only deliver to customers experiences that they have themselves. When you deliver and design an on-brand experience for your employees, they're more likely to do that for your customers. So In order to achieve that kind of the transformation in your organization that I talked about, you want to cultivate a customer experience culture, center on the customer, make sure everyone has direct access to your customers. And then you want to deliberately design your employee experience, taking a look at all the steps, all the stages from the moment they become aware of you as an employer, and design them so that they are aligned with your customer experience. So just to recap, we talked about evolving your experiences to become more personal, more emotional, more on brand, and then transforming your organizations to center on the customer and to align your customer experience and your employee experience. When you take these actions, you're going to produce results. You're going to, and I should say that these actions of integrating data and insights, igniting customer experience innovation, creating the customer-centric culture, and designing employee experience, when you take these actions, you're going to see higher revenues. You're going to be able to attract more customers, and you're going to do it at a lower cost. And you're going to produce a lot more customers who are going to be advocating for you out there in the marketplace. Bottom line, you're going to increase your customer loyalty. You won't get customers who are kind of loyal-ish. You'll get customers who choose to do business with you time and again. Because, you know what? Customer experience really is the new marketing. It influences brand perceptions and produces brand performance just as strongly. So you need to embrace customer experience as your new mission. The time is now. You know, the pace of business today is such that if you are only standing still, you're really falling behind. So you need to dive in, embrace customer experience, and lead. Thank you very much.